All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Crew Show with a little Golden State Warrior video on this Friday. Jonathan Kuminga making news. Man, what are the Warriors going to do next? Kuminga losing faith in Steve Kerr. We'll talk about that coming up next. Of course, first, we're brought to you by Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get the brisket chili. It's all good, but I love the brisket and the brisket chili. Go tell them that Larry Krueger said I sent you. And, of course, this video brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. I'm loving Underdog Fantasy. Use that link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. All right, Warriors lost last night to the Denver Nuggets as Jokic hit a game winner from deep, and the Nuggets get the three-point win, 130-127, and it was particularly ugly because the Warriors – once again, Steve Kerr did not play Jonathan Kuminga in the fourth quarter. And the Warriors got beat in the fourth quarter by 16, 36-20. And today, Kuminga says that according to Shams Charania and Anthony Slater of The Athletic, Jonathan Kuminga is fed up with Steve Kerr. Kuminga has, quote, lost faith in Steve Kerr. And he has, quote, no longer believes Kerr will allow him to reach his full potential. He said last night was the straw that broke the camel's back, was one of the sources indicated. Kuminga put together a solid performance in the game last night. He had 16 points. He was 5 of 7 from the field, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, but he played just 19 minutes. And Kerr pulled him with the Warriors down 85-84 in the third, replaced him with Andrew Wiggins, and with Wiggins in the lineup, Golden State mounted a significant lead. So Kerr never went back to Kuminga after pulling him. And even though the Warriors were struggling down the stretch, he never went to Kuminga. And Kerr said of Kuminga and his decision to not reinstate him into the game, he was playing great. His normal time to go back in would have been around the 5-6 minute mark of the fourth. Andrew was playing great. We were rolling. We're up 18-19. At that point, it's like whatever it was, so we just stayed with him. Then at the later point, I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. He'd been sitting for a while, so I stayed with the group that was out there, and obviously we couldn't close it out. So, the Warriors have a problem. They got a problem here. Kuminga and Wiggins don't play well together. So one guy's on the floor, the other guy's typically on the bench. Wiggins is a 10-year vet, so he typically gets more PT, and that limits the amount of time that Kuminga gets on the floor, period. This is year 3 for Kuminga with the Warriors, and, they blew it. They either blew it when they drafted him or they're blowing it right now. But he has not emerged as a full-time starter despite being the 7th pick overall in the 2021 draft. Finds himself on the bench in some of the biggest moments of the game on a regular basis. He's only 21. He's still pretty raw. He's averaging 12.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, and 1.4 assists per game in 33 games this year, shooting 50.6% from the floor, 28% from three. But I think he's shooting like 41% from three in the last month. And Slater and Shams reported in May that Kuminga preferred to be traded during the offseason if he wasn't going to have a bigger role in the Warriors. And everybody in the league wants Kuminga, of course, but they want to steal him for nothing because they see that it's not working out with Golden State and they know what an athlete he is. He might be the best athlete in the entire freaking league. And so now he's unhappy with his role, and the trade deadline's February 8th. And the Warriors are in a tough spot here because if they give this kid away, they're fools. If it was me, I'd trade Wiggins and play this kid. But, if he's lost faith in Kerr and sounds like Kerr has no faith in him, maybe it's time for him to move on. But, man, if you trade this kid, you are going to look so unbelievably bad unless you get a really good player coming back, because this is one of the NBA's best athletes. This guy is a tremendous athlete. If you wind up moving Jonathan Kuminga, just prepare yourself for the fact that he could go somewhere else and be really, really good, and you could look horrible. There's about a month to go until the trade deadline, and are they going to give him a change of scenery? I mean, it's all about what can you get. I mean, I wouldn't move him. I'd move Wiggins, but Wiggins makes more money. He might be harder to move. Um, it's funny. Kuminga's been plugged in as a starter for the Warriors since Draymond Green went on suspension. But Golden State's lost 4 of their last 5 games. They're in 11th place in the West, and if they want to get their season back on track, they almost have to make a trade. So, I mean, it's such a disappointment watching this because Kuminga is such a talent. And he basically has said, he says, sometimes I come out of the game not knowing what I did, and that messes with my head. It's like what they want me to do. I can pass and I can do different S. So I don't know. There's a lot of talk the Utah Jazz have interest. I mean, if you could get Markkanen in some deal involving Kuminga, maybe I would consider doing that. Utah wants him and I understand why they want him. They're 24th in the NBA in defensive rating, and he's a great young athlete. So, I mean, there's talk that there's players like Kelly Olynyk and Chris Dunn who could be available, but those guys are expiring contracts. And I mean, Olynyk's a shooter. Dunn's a good defender, but neither of those guys is Kuminga. That would be really disappointing. If you wind up trading Kuminga for Chris Dunn and Kelly Olynyk, I mean, get your resume ready because you're fired. I mean, you're going to look so bad in a year, 2 years. I mean, Kuminga is going to emerge as a terrific young player. Kuminga's got major talent. I mean, we're talking about Kawhi Leonard kind of a talent. He's 6'8", 6'9", can run all day, willowy, long arms, incredible jumper. Not incredible jump shot, but a leaper. His shot's coming around. I like Wiggins less than Kuminga. I'd rather trade Wiggins. Trade Wiggins and give Kuminga those minutes. I mean, Wiggins is coasting. He's made all this money. He just seems like he's not into it. The Warriors don't need that. If I ran the Warriors, I would trade Wiggins and keep Kuminga, and I wouldn't think twice of it. But if you're going to move Kuminga, you got to get somebody really good. I mean, at least if you trade him to Utah in some deal with picks or other assets, if you could get a Lauri Markkanen, now you've got more size. You've got a legit big man who can shoot the ball. Markkanen's a former All-Star. I mean, now you're talking about something. If you want to, if Utah calls and you can get Markkanen, fine, I'll move Kuminga. But I ain't doing it for Kelly Olynyk and Chris Dunn. Man, that's for damn sure. So I don't know. I mean, this is another one of those situations. What is going on? I mean, it's like you're going to sit there, take the guy 7th overall, never play the guy, devalue him, and then sell off on him for a song or for some role players. No way. That would be bad. But you know what? I will say this. Kuminga's not alone. There's a lot of fans that have lost faith in Steve Kerr. And maybe it's time for Steve Kerr. I mean, I love Steve Kerr, and I think it's ridiculous to even entertain the idea of firing Steve Kerr. I'm not saying that. But maybe it's time for a different voice. Maybe it's time. I don't know. They say that after a certain amount of time, guys get tired of listening to the same voice. Maybe it's run its course here with Kerr. I personally would not want to see that. I think Kerr is a very good coach, but I don't want to move Kuminga. I really don't. So, Steve, play Kuminga, move Wiggins. Don't do the opposite. Don't keep Wiggins and move Kuminga. But if you ask me to bet on it, I would bet that they will move Kuminga and they won't move Wiggins. But all I'll say once again, if you move Kuminga for role players, you're going to get burned. You're going to look bad. And Dunleavy, you're going to get fired. If you move Kuminga for marketing in some bigger deal, I would endorse that. You're still giving away one of the most athletic players in the entire league, but you're getting a young big man who can shoot it and who's played in an all-star game. And you're getting the best player in the present, but you may be trading the best player in the future. Kuminga, I think, is going to be really, really good in the future. So once again, they can get marketing, go for it. If they can't get marketing, don't trade him. And I would look to move Wiggins instead if I could do it. Maybe you move them both in different deals to different teams for different pieces. But very disappointing because Kuminga is one of my favorite players to watch. I was excited the day they drafted him. They haven't been able to, for whatever reason, give him any kind of consistent run. Last year in the playoffs, they played him for like 2 games, and then Kerr banished him to the bench and treated him like he was just nowhere close to good enough. It's the failure on the Warrior coaching staff. It really is. Develop your talent. Develop your talent. He's a young player. You got an 82-game regular season. Develop him. Last year, they didn't develop him. They got to the playoffs. They forced him into a role. He didn't play that role particularly well, and they banished him to the bench. So, I mean, it's how to devalue a valuable asset by the Golden State Warriors. So now it's on Dunleavy's plate. What's he going to do? Should be interesting. Don't give away Kuminga, Mike, or you're going to be gone. All right, that's going to be it for the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.